Welcome back to the Dragner podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Dragner, with my co-host, Dr. MK. Please, Dr. MK, introduce yourself.
What's up? I am Dr. McDaddy, right? I'm known by many different names, right? Nerd Daddy, 2-Bit Counterfeit,
Big Papa.
yeah, Big Papa, Great Uncle, various different titles and names that one would kind of use to, you know, what's the term? Honor the kind of legend I am.
Honor the legend.
Honor my magnitude.
The youngster.
All right, you know.
Yeah, I do know, honestly, dude.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just gotta have people call you Big Papa or
Yeah, they just
Daddy. Just like what's
they just gotta call you Daddy. You feel so much better.
Yeah, no, dude, having a bad day. Some guys like, "What's up, Big Boss?" Immediately, you're just like 3 sizes larger.
Exactly. You start inflating.
Okay, dude.
I'm just exactly. Play your head like that one scene from Son of the Mask.
Dude,
that was such
exactly like that one.
That was so gross. That was such a gross fucking film.
Dude,
I hated that.
What's that girl's name who turns into the blueberry?
Violet.
Yeah, no, dude. Somebody, I hate to say it, but somebody definitely had an awakening to that scene, man.
Oh, I love blueberries. Oh, I'm gonna turn my girlfriend blue. I'm gonna.
Blueberries.
I'm gonna put silver in my girlfriend's food.
I'm gonna start putting colloidal silver in her food, man. Convince her to drink that shit. Fuck.
Lovely conversation. I just came back to. Holy
Oh my
shit.
god, is that Samira? Welcome to the podcast.
Is that Samira?
Is that Samira? Kiss. Mwah. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm not gonna stay much long because it's 3 a.m. and I gotta sleep.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have fun.
You're welcome. Now. Okay. Go dip. Go dip into the lake.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Have a great night. Good night. Welcome back to the regular scheduled programming. I was surprised he talked. I thought he was just gonna listen.
We're gonna edit that out, right? Nah.
Yeah. I mean, we could keep it in, but it's more funny that way. It's more unexpected.
No,
Let's see. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, weird ass people. Weird freaky people.
Don't get me started about weird people, bro. Dude, working at a UPS store, right, where you exclusive, here's the thing. Typically 90% of customers are like run of the mill. And then you have 5% that are chill, and then 5% that are like kind of just annoying.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm super jaded. 80% of everybody just slightly annoys me. And then you have all the box holders, which make up like 100 customers, right? There's like 400 boxes that are all occupied.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually like the regulars who come to the store. Perfect, right? They're always nice. They're always kind of chill. Sometimes they're cranky, but you know what? Water off a duck's back.
You get it?
Again,
it's like
regulars. Yeah, no, you know what I mean? Like, dude, I don't want to be here either, right? But sometimes there's just specimens who are irregular visitors that just come in and just act up.
Yeah. They're like the QuickTime events.
Yeah, no, just like they're like a one-time event that's out of the ordinary. They're like rare spawns. You ever play Borderlands?
Yeah.
They're like rare spawns.
They are like rare spawns, exactly. Yeah. I work in Walmart, so it's like
that's all rare spawns.
It's all rare spawns.
Somebody normal is the rare spawn.
You know what?
You walk in, say please and thank you, and you'll be like, yo.
Dude, it makes me so happy when I interact with normal people.
Dude, it's like people who are raised well.
Dude, it's like
which is shocking, right?
It's like
you'd expect
You expect people to be normal and to like treat you with common courtesy because that's what I do, right? That's what you
Yeah,
do.
no, that's like how we're raised.
That's how you're
But then you have
raised.
just people like, if people like without even like a hey, what's up, hi, they'll just show you their phone, right, with the QR code on it,
Yeah.
and it is for the completely wrong store. And then they look at me as if I did something wrong.
Like I am the one.
When they're the ones who clicked on Whole Foods, right?
Barry, I am the one who moved your Whole Foods app. Barry, I changed your QR code.
Barry, I canceled your return at supersonic speed and changed it to Whole Foods so you'd have to go and walk back. Barry, I'm the one who switched out. I'm the one who switched out your ASIC sneakers for one size smaller, Barry. I'm the one who made them the wrong color. Like, dude, they think I'm him. They think I'm, what's his name again? Thawne. They think I'm Thawne. They think I'm the Reverse Flash. It's absurd.
You know, honestly, Hermes being like the delivery god, it kind of makes sense if you overlay their personalities. If we get into some mythology here.
I only know Hermes from the God of War games, and all I know is that he's an absolute prick that gets his legs ripped off.
He is an absolute dick, but he's funny. He's a trickster god. Have you
honestly, man? Dude, I'm a complete fraud. I played only God of War Ragnarok and God of War 4. Love those games both, by the way. It's just I played God of War 3 on my cousin's Xbox, and then my uncle, right, got mad at me for playing it in the living room, which absolutely fair. There were bare-chested bit ladies in that game.
I would have not been mad. I would have not been mad.
See,
bare-chested ladies, bare-chested men. Oh,
he's like 60, right?
Oh, he's unk. Oh,
yeah,
he's
an absolute unk status.
He's the great unk.
To be fair, I was doing that in the living room, right?
You know, that's
like I'm ripping a Medusa apart in front of the cousins, you know? Like,
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's actually kind of fair. Yeah, your unk is right. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely justified.
But you've never gone back to play God of War 3?
I think I got like halfway through. Like I was in the prison segment.
Oh, you're pretty close then.
This big prison, you know? But yeah, I just play on it. I play on his Xbox, right? So I'd play in like intermittent regions.
Yeah.
Like I'd hop on a save and then I'd run through. I think I played through the garden section where you can slam Aphrodite, if I remember correctly.
Slam. Oh, slam. So
I had the electric, you know what I'm talking about? The electric,
yeah.
The electric knives.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Game was awesome.
That game was
awesome, man.
I love hack and slash, dude. It's one of my favorite genres of game.
It was an absolute brainless button masher for me, but it was just fun.
It's fun.
Younger me had so much fun just button mashing.
Dude, I just missed that in video games where it's just fun and not trying to just tell a story. Where you can just...
But, like, I like stories, right?
I do like stories, too.
A solid story. Like, you know, God of War probably has, like, some of my favorite storytelling. 4 was great. Like you'd play through in like a little rendition of like an Odyssey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they all come out on top. Unfortunately, you know, Ragnarok felt a little rushed in terms of the plot, but it still had that overarching big ass vibe. It was great.
You know, I can't play Ragnarok because the guy that plays Odin is the same guy who plays the doctor who helps. Like
Steve Buscemi, right?
No, it's like Do you know The Good Doctor?
Yeah, no, I don't watch The Good Doctor.
Dude,
I actually don't watch a lot of things.
Dude, you don't watch anything. I just
know the sturgeon meme.
Dude, the Odin's in that show. And
you don't want to ruin for you?
What?
What? I didn't ruin for you?
Ruin it for me. Go ahead.
No. I mean, like, you don't want to... You know, he's in the show. You don't want like Odin to be ruined. Like you see him in the cutscene, or you see him in like cutscenes and stuff.
Oh,
Odin,
okay.
And then you'll be like, "Oh my god, it's that guy from The Good Doctor." I can't take this seriously.
Yeah, no, he'd be like Dr. Glassman. I'm gonna post a GIF. No one else is gonna see this, but yeah, He's in the show, and it's weird. It's weird seeing him. Like, he's a good guy in the show, and then you see he's being an he's an actor. He acts different parts. Yeah.
Just send it to me. Send me the image.
I'll send you. Everyone imagine a old man with a bald head and glasses.
Probably just take Odin from God of War Ragnarok. It's probably like a full-on just move him over.
Exactly. Just make him just a normal
pull up a PNG and then put him in a lab coat with a stethoscope.
Yeah, that's him. Look, see.
Yeah, that looks like him all right. Yeah, from the side. Wow.
Yeah.
I actually just grabbed him and put him in the game. They kidnapped him.
they pulled him.
Imagine getting dragged into a video game.
Dude, that'd be scary. Dude,
what video game would you want to be in?
So
if you had the choice,
are we choosing like badassery or for like the vibe?
Whatever you want. We're like, okay, how about this? One where you're like the main one scenario where you're like the main character and everything happens to you, and the second scenario where you're just some regular Joe Schmo.
Okay, so if I'm gonna be the main character in any game, dude, honestly, I think I might have to go for what's that one game? Let's see. I'm trying to think, because I have a weird little repertoire of games I've played. I really like Dark Souls. This is an established fact. So,
dude, I don't think you'll be happy to hear my opinion on Dark Souls.
Oh boy, what are you gonna say?
See, I play Dark Souls games, right? So that I don't get filtered by the what's it called? The FromSoft Classic.
Oh.
Of getting filtered by the first boss, and then I stopped playing immediately after. I did this with Elden Ring. I did this with Dark Souls 3. I did this with Dark Souls 1. I beat the first boss, like the tutorial boss, and then I just stopped playing. I get bored immediately after. The only FromSoft game that I have found myself like not doing that to is Armored Core 6. And to be honest, Armored Core 6, ooh boy, makes my loins hot, okay? That game...
Robots.
Dude.
Mechs.
Not just
mechs. Mecha robots.
Mecha robots, and then you got a chick in your ear the entire game. It's...
it's... Oh, yeah, the chicken in your ear. Okay, dude. I see.
No, absolutely, man.
Gooner.
Whoa. All right, man. I'm a tasteful individual. All right, call me eccentric.
Eccentric.
Absolutely.
You know,
get Minuetto on the mic. Another. Anyways, back to the whole if you were in a game kind of thing, scenario.
Let's go back.
Right.
Yep.
Main character. You're the main character of a game. What would it be?
Dude, honestly, I feel like it would be really fun to be fuck it. Let's go with the Spider-Man games. Imagine just being
Spider-Man? Yeah, no, absolutely.
Just be fucking Spider-Man. That'd be fucking cool. It'd be so cool.
Oh man, dude, I'm scrolling through my game mentions or my saved games, and I'm like, I'll take her. Anyways, I might have to go with I don't know, dude. Bloons Tower Defense 6, dude. I'd love to be like a monkey throwing darts at shit.
Dude, what if you're not though?
Dude.
What if you're not? What if you're not monkey though? But what
then
if
I'd be commanding the monkeys because I'm the main character, right?
What if you're just you're just up in the sky and you're not even like a being? You're like a god, dude, and you're everywhere. You're right. That'd be kind of terrifying.
That would suck. That would suck actually. Monster Hunter.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Man, Monster Hunter, dude.
Dude.
All right. Dude, if I was in Monster Hunter, right, I would immediately travel to the New World and find Safi Jiva. I'd love that guy.
Oh, you know what? Fair enough. I want to control the boogies.
The who?
The boogs. The bugs.
Boogs?
The bugs.
Boogs. Ah, the little buggies, man.
Yeah.
Dude, you played Wilds?
I have not played Wild yet. How is it actually? I've been wanting to know.
Other than crashing my, other than having, running at 60 frames per, other than like running at 60 frames per second with frame gen on, so it's really 30 on the lowest settings possible at 1080p on a 3070.
Yeah. Pretty good.
As well as crashing my computer 3 times in a row sometimes.
Yeah, that's brutal actually.
Other than all of that, oh yeah, let me add in looking like shit sometimes. Other than that, fun game.
Good.
It's a fun game.
Good. I'm glad it's a fun game.
Definitely has a lot of like simplifications and stuff like that. Like I got a negative review on it on Steam, but like definitely a lot of like simplifications and things that I feel like are missing.
Mm.
But the things they add, kind of like, you know what I mean? They add like an equal quantity of stuff to the things they took away that it feels like they took away.
Yeah. You know
I feel
what?
like a couple of the things they put in, right? Like the secondary weapons, I feel are like pointless.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty cool. It's pretty good.
That's a very fair assessment, I feel. So let's talk about the other aspect of not being the main character, but just being just a guy.
Just some Joe Schmo.
Just
yeah,
being
just a guy.
Just being John Gamer.
Just being John Guy.
Just being John NPC.
Yeah, John, Mr. John.
Mr. John.
You want to like go through and like just remove people, like remove scenarios that would suck. See, like I probably hate being in like just a guy in Warframe. Cause dude,
that's
you will get thrown into a meat grinder, right? You will be like the 200,000th kill of the day.
Yeah, if
by one guy.
So are we talking? Okay, are we gonna be an enemy or are we just gonna be a guy?
Okay, so we'd have to go through like a probability kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like of being just a guy. Like, what are your chances of getting in the enemy category versus getting in the just a guy category? Because you're just a guy. Like, you have an equal chance of getting forcibly like impressed in a military as you do like living in a like a star system, and the hardest thing you do is lift a pencil every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So
like we'd have to like consider like bi-universe.
So we gotta so we gotta do some math here. How much enemies are there to just normal guys?
Yeah, roughly like that kind of thing. Like Warframe, like under the surface is just an absolute grimdark.
Yep.
Like when you look at it, it's like 40K. Like you have people like you have you have an entire clone army. I think both the Corpus and the Grenier, right? Both factions in that game.
Yeah.
Both of them, not really both factions, but almost all the factions rely on like clone soldiers.
Yep.
The Corpus definitely do. If you look at those like suits that are hung up, like that look like they're full. Yeah. Guess what? They're actually full. You'll see their hands twitch at times.
Oh, that's gross. That's gross.
Yeah, and they get what that implies is that like a lot of the enemies you're fighting are just like either people who are put into like stasis and then like kept there, or they're
defrosted
and they get brought up and they get like brought to the arena as just meat to get ground up.
Dude,
they don't even matter. The Grenier, same thing. The infestation, like you know, they're all clones pretty much, right? They just infect a guy, like the spore, like like what are they called? Like the flood.
Yeah.
Literally like the flood, right? And then mutate the guy. The what's that faction? The Orican.
Yeah.
You know, shove the mind control devices into their face. Like everything you fight in Warframe pretty much does not have a soul.
No.
Or like was born yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah. So that being said, how likely do you think would it actually be being sentient and having your own free will rather than just being meat? Do you think it would be a very high
actually,
chance?
I think it's actually very unlikely. You'd have to get like in the native populations
Yeah.
of like a planet, right? Like Cetus or like a Solaris guy
Yeah.
versus versus being like one of the clones in a clone vat, you know?
Yeah. In all honesty, it feels like there's about like 1,000 like each
1,000 to 1 if we're talking Warframe.
Yeah, 1,000 to 1. Because there's 1,000 like each mission that you have to kill and brutalize.
I think it's like about 200 if it's an exterminate.
Yeah.
And that's like 5 minutes.
But sometimes it goes on for a really long time because it's not just exterminates. There's also the
Yeah, there's survivals,
Yeah.
right? Depending on how like good you are, it's like it would be, what is that one game mode called? Void Cascade, right?
Yeah.
Like it depends.
Yeah. It depends
We'd
on.
probably
And that would be like if you're in it for like 2 hours, that'd be
oh my god,
a lot. That would be a lot.
dude! I've done I think like a straight up like 8-hour run, and it was like 300,000 kills.
Exactly. 300,000 deaths for what? For nothing. They didn't have.
I'd have to check my account stats, but I don't think it was 300,000 actually. I think it was some huge number.
It's a huge number. It's not. It's not the.
10,000, 1,000, not too sure.
It was a huge metric compared to what you're used to.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's kind of messed up because they don't have any other purpose besides to die. Because their purpose
Get thrown in the blender. Maybe you
get
got a
thrown
chance
in the
to kill in
blender.
that Warframe.
Exactly. And then you have the Warframes getting their main character moments, and then you just got these guys who have no choice but to kill.
Yeah, no,
because they'll be killed regardless.
Their main character moment, which is just spamming 4-3.
Yeah, exactly. They do that so easily, and then you have
It's just
and then
like you'll like let's say the corpus, right? Like are actual people, right? Imagine watching your homies get just burnt instantaneously.
Dude, imagine like freaking what do you call him? I'm trying to remember. It's not Gauss, it's his friend.
A Volt.
Not
Oh no, Grendel.
Grendel. Imagine seeing your friend get sucked up into a giant stomach, and then this man just starts fucking cannon bolting towards you. That's horrifying.
Dude, I honestly, dude, I wouldn't say that's like the worst thing. Imagine watching all your homies melt. Like they get a couple spores on them, and then you see them liquefy.
Yeah, that's also really bad. Dude, imagine seeing your homies get brutally murdered, and then you see their corpses get reanimated, and then they just start killing even more of your friends.
Dude, it's like no wonder why every faction is looking to put these guys in the dirt. Because if I saw this happen, I would have a grudge for the rest of my life.
And you're just a guy. You don't have.
And you are a guy, yeah.
You're just the guy. You have equipment, sure, but you don't have special powers like the
sentient, the liches, right? Like,
yeah.
I'd say the liches have a soul. Canonically speaking, they have a soul.
They have a soul.
Yeah, because like Warframe, how it works, right, is that there's this thing called the Oro, and this kind of like enables reanimation. I don't know if it's still canon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like if it hasn't been decannoned, I'd say.
I don't
know. What's his name? Teshin, right?
Mm-hmm.
The game mode, it's like it's basically dog tags.
Yeah.
It's what's that game like? Search and destroy? No. Kill confirm. Yeah, it's like kill confirmed, the equivalent. But when you kill someone, you collect their oro, and Teshin has like a blurb where this is like, oh, this is how you come back and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Take their oro, and the oro pretty much like enables you to come back when you die.
Yeah.
And assuming that DE has decided to stick with this very ancient lore for, this would mean that the liches and stuff like that, because of their ability to just revive from death, they have some kind of either quote-unquote synthetic oro, or they have oro in and of itself.
Yeah.
And this is what I'd say as a soul, honestly.
I believe that's
Like, it's
the
the
concept.
closest thing.
Yeah. It's an ethereal essence that is unexplainable.
That comes back.
Yeah.
And it requires, the crazy thing is that the Oro requires the Requiem. Like, let's say we are considering this the Oro, right?
Yeah.
It requires the Requiem mods, which, if we know anything about, let me just pull it up right now. The poem, right?
Yeah.
The thing with Warframe is that it's a very it's got a very eldritch subplot to it, right? Like, it's
beyond us.
Honestly, yeah, it is insane. I love the Warframe lore, right? When it like the Oro requires, just to hype it up, right? It requires the invocation of an eldritch deity.
Yeah.
Because it requires you to find 3 parts. Did the coughing get caught?
What?
It requires the invocation. Okay, it doesn't matter then. It requires the invocation of an ancient poem, right? Or a poem, at least. And let me pull up the exact order of how it's supposed to say, but pretty much the Requiem words are Fos, Jahu, Kra, Lok, Netra, Reese, Vom, Zata, and Ul, right?
Dude,
These are
why
like
is
the
there an
Requiem
octopus? Why is there an octopus in my room all of a sudden?
Hmm?
There's octopus tentacles in my room now, dude. What'd you do? They're just hanging
shit.
they're hanging from the ceiling, man. They're touching
Don't worry
me.
about it, man. That's my buddy Cthulhu.
Oh, that's just shit. Cthulhu?
Yeah, he's my dog. He's my dog.
Dude, do you wanna blood Cthulhu?
Huh? Do I want to what Cthulhu?
I was asking if Cthulhu wanted a blood. Yeah.
He's I don't know what's up with him, man. Maybe he's like straight edge.
Straight? Sure. I mean, he kind of looks.
Yeah.
He looks out there. I mean, his 2 eyes are kind of far apart. No offense. No offense, Mister.
He might be a little hopped up.
He might just a little bit on
I don't know if
that.
he's straight edge. He might be a liar.
He might be on that that astral wisdom. Holy shit, dude!
Dude, losing yourself a little, man. Watch out.
Watch out.
But each of the words, right? These Requiem words are intrinsically connected to the power of the Eldritch BBEG of the whole series, right? The Man on the Wall.
Yeah.
And so, if you want to ask me for my interpretation of it, right? You are straight up invoking this deity to just sever their ability to reform and regenerate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because
kind of messed up.
This is like the native tongue of the Man on the Wall.
That's yeah.
And these words are inexplicably connected to a poem. And so, if you mind if I read it, right? Let me just
read it. Pull it.
I need to find it real quick. So I'll probably just like, stall and stuff like that. But let me just. All right. Let me see. Shoot. All right. There we go. Thank you, Reddit. All right. From brooding gulfs are we beheld by that which bears no name. Its heralds are the stars it fells, the sky and earth aflame. Corporeal laws are unwrit, as suns in love retreat. To cosmic madness laws submit, through stalwart minds entreat. No luminous space, blackened stars, they gaze, accuse, deny. Rolling, moaning, this realm of ours, in madness lost shall die. Carrion hordes trill their profane accord with eldritch plans. To cosmic forms from tangent planes, we end as we began.
Man, that's deep, man.
There is quite literally this is so hard. Whoever was cooking in the kitchen with this, I got my plate,
And
And this isn't even like the last of the poem, because this was in an update before the Ul mod was added. And let me find, and this is very much something that explains the man on the wall, like kind of like as a description, right?
right.
Through endless faces, countless forms, a multitude unfolds. That's pretty much who the man on the wall is. He's a multitude, to put it simply. Because one of his like big things is being able to like mimic people, right? Mimic them almost perfectly, and like, you know, it's very much untouched upon in the 1999 update, which like the part 1, because this is before part 2 dropped. But oh my god, dude, the man on the wall is probably one of the best Eldritch kind of villains you could see, because he's set up from like how many years ago? 6 years ago. I remember when I was in high school, right? And we learned about the man on the wall. I remember being like a 16-year-old dude, right, playing Chains of Harrow, and I hear about the man on the wall, and I'm like, dude, that guy is gonna be sick. And they delivered.
And they did deliver it. He was really scary, actually.
It's just, dude.
I just love just seeing peeks into unfathomable reality, because, you know, if you look at it all the way, you don't understand any of it. But just having a little glimpse makes you understand something a little bit, but you don't understand the full picture.
Just, man, it's certainly like just the fact that, like, you know, these like you know, words have meaning.
Yeah.
Because of our requirement to have, like, you know, signals and promises, right?
Right.
And that's like the basis of all language. There's I think it was a Russian researcher, and he cracked the code on the Mayan language because of his cat. His cat was like meowing at his kitten. Yeah. Let me look him up real quick, right?
Well, yeah, I was pulling up.
Mayan language discovery. And so there were basically like massive sections. There were basically like massive sections of the language that weren't cracked. And it was because of this like Russian dude and his cat that they were able to like start to figure everything out. Because you know, I think there might have been something accorded like akin to a Rosetta Stone, but it was like incomplete.
Yeah.
I'm just honestly like guessing.
Oh yeah,
That's
Yuri.
typically how a lot of these like
Yuri.
Yeah.
Yuri Valentinovich, Norozov. Okay.
Yeah, Yuri Norozov.
Yuri Norozov. Yep.
This
man.
This guy is goated. All right, you see, if you ever want to use this guy as like a reference and you need to put a picture, always include his cat.
Always very important.
Always include his cat. She is very important. He listed her as a co-author on his not like books, and whenever they'd ask the editors of like a publication would ask for his picture, he'd send him the picture you'd see on the Wikipedia. This is after they cropped her out several times.
And he looks very upset.
He's very upset. I would be too. And so, big ups. Hold on. Big ups to. Let me find his cat real quick. Asma. Big ups to Azia. All right, because while she was speaking to her kitten, right, she was like meowing at it like angrily. He had an epiphany. He had a eureka, and that eureka was language is a set of signals and promises. Now, what does that mean? So a signal would be like, hey, watch out, right?
Yes.
Promise would be like, hey, I will do this for you. Just as a simple thing, right? So when he cracked that kind of helped him realize and understand like what he's supposed to figure out of the language, right? Because it's a series of signals and promises. He needs to find out like what's being signaled, and that kind of helped break it down effectively.
it's less about trying to figure out what the symbols are, but rather the context of why they're given.
Yep. And then you work backward.
Yep.
You don't figure out the symbols and then recreate the meaning. You figure out the meaning and then you recreate the symbols.
That's how you figure out the phonetics, how the writing system actually works, what predispositions there are, how things are prioritized, how things are organized. It's all very interesting. And then you compare.
It's just incredible.
It's incredible,
All
absolutely.
Right. In Argentina, right? They're like at least Yucatan and stuff like that, places like that.
Yeah.
If you see a statue of them, they'll always put respect on Asia and include her in the statues.
Which is good. That's how it should be.
How it should be, absolutely. Just great little story, right? We love
our linguists.
we love our linguists out here, man, and their cats. Very cute cat, man.
Very, very cute.
She's even got like the same stare as him too in the photo. Like even she's upset.
You know, pets take on the looks of their owners.
Is that true? Because I always just put it up to like
well, the thing is that like the more you spend with a person, either regardless on what you are, a cat or a man, you take on certain aspects of that person's personality. Their identity becomes part of you. That's how we grow. Sometimes it's in more observable aspects, such as like the face, how someone scowls, how someone smiles, how someone responds to certain stimuli with reactions. We take on that with by mimicry.
Mirror neurons and all that jazz.
Mirror neurons, exactly. That's how we learn.
I'd say it for real, like mirrors.
Yeah.
Right. I always like. This was always on like the top of my head every once in a while. If I needed some imagery about people, I'd say they're like mosaics, formed up by pieces taken from other people.
Because we are social animals, we have to. It's mimicry that becomes. So it comes from imitation, but then we recontextualize what we've learned from different imitations into our own idea, our own painting. And that's how we create ourselves. It's by taking the ideas we've learned from different sources and recontextualizing it.
Yeah.
And as you say, mosaics.
And that could easily double back to how goated the man on the wall is, right? Because that thing's entire gimmick, or his entire gimmick, it's not really explain what he is. It's more likely an it.
Yeah, it's hard to explain because it's
always
outside.
Mimics people, right? It's always mimicking. Throughout the entire game, most of the time you interact with the man on the wall, he's mimicking you. Or someone else.
Because it of itself is not human.
It's more like how do we put it? Like it's learning.
It's imitating.
That's a good way to put it.
Like the animal, like Yuri's cat. It imitated its owner's behavior. And from that, we get this more advanced sort of imitation where it becomes more and more human, or rather the appearance of human as time goes on. And that makes it horrifying because it's not natural. And worst of all, it's becoming more effective at doing that, which I feel like it's worse because becoming less uncanny, which means that it's becoming more effective?
It's one of the things. It's one of the things that's when it's built up in a sort of way, it's just we're always mimicking. That's the best. That's the easiest way to
Yep.
put it. We're always copying. Like some of the greatest works aren't entirely true ideas, but it's a copy in a way that's quite. Like imagine like copying two things and then kind of like gluing them together, right? That's a
Yeah,
lot of the time what we do. We don't entirely we don't entirely copy things, but we always or when we copy things, it's not a perfect copy, but a piece of us is with it.
exactly.
And that's the best way I can explain it.
You
Articulate
take
my words.
you listen to music as a person of your own, and with the ideas that you formed inside your head as you are moving across in the universe and you're learning and you're becoming a different person each and every second. You listen to this music and you take different aspects of it because these ideas that are already inside your head have made certain ideas inside the music more appealing, and you take them and then you compile them with these ideas, and then you move on, and you then apply these ideas, and you make music that is kind of like is a compilation of ideas that you've gathered and you've stored into like an album of similar ideas.
And it all kind of like jumbles together, melts a little bit. Some odd reason, some random thing gets a little glued in.
And mutates, yeah, mutates. It
And then
can't,
you have like a facsimile of the thing that you took the idea from, but it's not entirely it.
it's not entirely it. It's different. It's yours.
And that's like people begging for 100% unique ideas are always kind of. I like things that are inspired. Whenever I see it, right, I'm like, oh shoot, dude. I like noticing like little inspirations here and there, and then being like, oh, dude, that's really cool. That's a really cool way of doing that.
The greatest artists steal. And
Exactly.
and it's not just, plagiarizing. It's being able to really understand and take apart a piece of music and really
What
appreciate
like
it.
take what works, take what you like and what works, and then applying that to your next
Yeah,
part.
just fucking go for it. Yeah. Don't be scared. It's just
Like what? Like there's a little twang in a song, right? You don't have to completely copy it, but you can listen to it and figure out like how the attack. I don't know what the words musicians use, right? But figure out like what points it kind of moves, right? The sample and stuff like that.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's like the best way to do it, honestly. And of
T-
course, you experiment. You take things that you like, mix them together sometimes, right? Or like work and add in ideas that you make yourself to things that work, and then you just create something great.
exactly. And you not only do you put in ideas, but you just do random shit. Just
Yeah,
try
and,
something you
and let's say,
don't.
and art's like a projection of the soul, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to say that, if you want to get philosophical about it or spiritual about it, right? Art is a projection of the soul.
Yep.
And like earlier, if we say we're all mosaics, right? We take things from others. Inherently speaking, a reflection of you would also be a mosaic.
Yep. Because
And so, like
we
one big, oh,
we're holistic. We aren't original beings. We are an accumulation of thousands of millions of years of experience condensed into different streams of different, passages.
actually,
And
it's 10,000.
10,000? No, I was a fucking fish, dude. Dude, I was the fish.
I
I
don't know,
was the
man.
guppy.
I don't know, man.
You
If
were
I
the
was a
silly
fish,
string.
if I was a fish, back during the cetacean period. You'd all be my descendants. Each and every single one of you. So,
Dude, if you could be a fish, what fish would you be?
tuna.
Tuna?
Tuna.
You would be a fucking tuna fish.
I love eating tuna, so I'd be a tuna. I am what I eat.
Dude, you just fucking take a bite of yourself.
No, that hurt. And since I'm a tuna, I don't really have the flexibility to sit around.
So, would you want to just be eaten by a bear in order to appreciate your existence? Like, what's up?
No, dude, I'd be eaten by like a shark.
A shark? Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough.
Because I'm in the deep sea.
Dude, what if
And eaten by a bear is like being a salmon. Dude, it would suck being a salmon.
Dude, it sucks
like
so much.
Those dudes, salmon get so horny, right? They get so horny that they mutate. They actually mutate. Hold on.
Oh, the freaky salmon.
Hang on. Like, this is a sockeye. This is a male sockeye salmon. The bottom phase is him after getting bricked up. The top phase is him before. Do you see what happens
When bro says he won't change after getting a girlfriend?
They mutate. It's that they die. They fuck themselves to death.
When bro says
They irreparably mutate themselves and then fuck themselves to death.
Dude, that's freaky. Freaky salmon. That would taste good though.
I don't think a salmon that looks like red would taste good. I'd imagine the mutation would just like ruin.
Let's ask Google. Let's go. Salmon horny make good taste.
Do spawning adults make good salmon?
Thanks. I hate horny salmon. Fair enough. Okay, so
let's ask, like, I don't fucking know, like, chat. Let's waste a couple cups of water. Spawning adults often have degraded flesh, and may not taste as good as fresh salmon caught in the ocean. They start to lose quality once they enter fresh water.
Oh, that's freaky.
They like, because they fuck so hard that they expend all the energy they accumulated over the years and just like burn themselves out to death. That's how hard they fuck.
Let's see.
Honestly, some guys got to take notes.
Let's see. The most appropriate. Oh, this is really interesting. I'm reading a whole article right now
on horny fish.
On horny fish. I also found this photo which kind of messed me up.
Let me see. Put it in voice chat text.
Oh shit, that was the wrong one. Ah shit. I'm moving it over. There you go.
No, that's just them dead.
Yeah, no, that's what
they died.
They died.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, horny fish.
R.I.P. Goobers.
Yeah, no, it's actually kind of depressing because they change themselves. So it's like metaphorical.
Metaphorical. That's way we.
Okay, I'm leaning back in my chair. I'm getting all nice and relaxed. You know, I'm getting like.
All right.
We're getting metaphysical here.
Doc, you know, I remember when. Oh wait, we're not doing therapy.
This is not the therapy podcast, but that'll come later.
Oh,
that'll be next episode. That's when we get rid of
breaking like the hippocampus oath.
Is that breaking the hippopotamus oath? Yeah, maybe.
The hypocritic.
The hypothalamus.
The
hypothermic roll.
What was it called again? I think I genuinely myself forget.
I think it's a hypothermic oath.
Hippocampic. The hippocampic oath.
Shit. Dude, you forgot.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm like on the money with
You're close.
Hippocratic.
Oh, there it
No,
is. I think so.
it's not the Hippocratic.
I think it's Hippocratic. I don't remember, dude. I don't remember.
It is the Hippocratic oath.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, let's get back to the metaphysical, because like it's a metaphor, right? You know, these dead rotting fish are a metaphor, because we pursue.
Some of us might be spending all our time, all our energy on just getting some fucks, and then after that,
This is what happens to gooners. Exactly, they turn into rotting.
No. Gooners turn into salmon. No, honestly, it's even worse because it's even worse, right? Because gooners aren't even like
getting any
like spawning. They aren't even like producing offspring.
They are
getting laid. They're just like
they're getting cucked by the salmon.
Like they're not even getting cocked.
They're just watching.
They're just they're just watching a video of some guy, like you know in your brain, right? Like watching that shit, right?
Yeah.
Triggers the same parts as like watching your wife get fucked.
Really?
Yeah. Cuckaganda, bro.
The kookaburra.
That's why, like, one time I saw a meme on Twitter, like it's like two Native American guys, and one of them's like, "White man been here. How you know? Cuck porn." Could be that, honestly, right? But that's
sweet Jesus.
It's just you know, a lot of the times, a lot of conservative like memes, not memes, but like a lot of conservative propaganda is just straight up like, imagine your wife getting cucked by a black dude. That would suck, right? Like, and all this shit, right? And then you'd see like people talking about like, you know, weird shit. You get what I mean, right? It's just it's all propaganda.
It's all propaganda.
It's all to get in your head.
It's all the leftist propaganda.
I want to say leftist.
It's just all around.
It's just
propaganda.
It's just like
it's all American propaganda.
Like, see, the correct term would be like marketing by the porn industry, right?
Yeah.
But like a more evil, insidious form. But let's be real here. All propaganda is marketing, and all marketing is propaganda. It's the same techniques.
Yep.
You could hire a marketer, and he would do great in the CIA.
Yep. Because it's all about influencing someone's opinion. Marketing is just on the consumer scale rather than the political scale.
Exactly. And you know, let's just you know, I'm gonna bring up one of my favorite rappers, right? Immortal Technique, The Fourth Branch. Like how this song ends is him dropping the fire line. Hang on, I'm looking it up right now. I'm like scrolling through the lyrics. I'm trying to find the bit about the fourth branch of the government.
Oh.
Is it like MK Ultra controlling your brain? And this is like the end bit where he starts like, you know, like maybe at the end of the song, right, it breaks the flow and he's just talking to the mic.
Yeah.
But to the beat. And he says like the fourth branch of the government, aka the media. Very simple, but that's objectively what it is.
Yeah.
That you will have a lot of ex-military officials, you know what I mean, end up on the news, and they're talking as if they're unbiased.
Yeah.
Like, no, pal, you're a former big kahuna in the military.
Yeah.
You're gonna be pro-military the entire way through, and that would be a great asset to have in the consumer media, is to have someone who's formerly in the military be your publicist.
Yeah.
Because you have the ethos immediately. You can say, "I fought for our country," and then you have the experience. You have the pathos. He would be great at like manipulating how you feel.
Incredibly.
And then you have like all three forms of was the term? Aristotelian.
Rhetorics.
Yeah, all the forms of the rhetorics. The
Yeah.
What is it? Aristotelian rhetorics.
I thought it was Socratic. No, it's let me.
The Socratic.
Yeah, there you go.
Socratic. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Socratic rhetoric.
Yep. Which are just all forms. It's the art of persuasion. For those who don't know.
Gorgias? No. Socratic method. Hold on. Let me just logos, ethos, pathos.
Yep.
I'm gonna find out like. Aristotle. Yeah, no, I'm wrong. It's Aristotle's. Aristotle's rhetoric.
So let's
And then
actually
there's
delve
also
into this.
Kairos, which is the moment. They would have excellent Kairos actually. They know exactly when they're gonna do something. They know when they're gonna start shit in the Middle East. And objectively speaking, like not to be like conspiratorial, but objectively speaking, like a high dude in the military would know when they're gonna do something.
Yeah, you know what? You're right on that.
They know exactly when a situation is gonna blow up.
Yes. Yes, they would.
Like
It's kind of scary.
I doubt it when they say something along the lines of like, "Oh, this is a complete blind side." I think they're lying. Everybody knows when you have a pot that's ready to explode, it's gonna explode.
It was meant to
Until you
explode.
turn off the heat. It's meant to, yeah. They might be good at guessing, but it doesn't matter. You could literally have a general scaffolding for something to say ready for the right opportunity.
And it'll
That's
cause
the thing. You
this.
just have to be somewhat prepared, and then boom, they're always prepared. You always have to. You plan. You keep planning and planning and planning until you die. And then you keep planning after that.
Yep. It'll
It's all
be
about plans. Plans on top of plans.
because people have a route of progression. You just gotta figure it out.
And or I'm kind of hooked on like the word Aristotelian something, but it's not really that important. But the media's got so much power, and we just kind of we don't necessarily consider like what they might be. As like a lesser example, you know those like memory TV memes?
Yeah.
Do you know who heads memory TV?
Who had memory TV actually?
It was co-founded by an Israeli ex-intelligence officer, Yigal Karmon or Kamon.
Really?
Yeah.
That is. Hmm.
That kind of makes you think, right? Is it Carmone? Yeah, it's Carmone. You get off Carmone. Now, I want you to ask yourself look up memory TV, and you will always find that they're saying something outlandish.
Columbia University activist so it's MAH.
Look,
Mood.
like we have a like a memory TV meme where this imam is saying the main character SpongeBob, they're translating this. The main character SpongeBob lives inside a giant pineapple. How do you think he acquired that house? Through jihad. And jihad is the word for struggle. Now, there's two kind of forms of it, huh? Come on. And so like you just kind of take videos and then just like you just kind of have to position this stuff, That's all they have to do.
You just gotta
And
make
even
it
then,
a narrative, and people will get invested.
and even then, you could just post the random weirdos or pay the random weirdos to set up their stuff.
Yeah.
And then boom, it's done, right? And that's what they do.
And it's depressing. It's depressing how
And
much that passed.
And this was set up from guess when?
How
From
long?
the beginning. Memory TV was set up 27 years ago. And it's all exclusively to mock Arabs and Muslims, right?
Yeah. It's
That's
depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you see all the memory TV. That's why all the like, haha, funny Arabs saying dumb shit thing. It all comes from memory TV. Every single clip.
That really makes you wonder. And the interesting thing is that the board of directors are incredibly powerful. So here, we have Robert R. Riley, who has published on topics of U.S. foreign policy and the war of ideas. Which that's what really interests me is the war of ideas.
It's a war of ideas. It's why we consider. I remember seeing a video by a guy, a PhD, right, recent convert to Islam, named I think Booking Theology.
Mm-hmm.
He's a PhD, right? And I listened to a podcast he was on, and he was talking about epistemology,
Mm-hmm.
which is the study of knowledge, if I remember correctly. Let me get a better definition, right? So it doesn't sound like I'm talking hot air out of my ass.
Epistemology is the branch of philosophy that studies knowledge.
Yeah.
It's also known
Nature,
as
origin, and limits of knowledge. And so
it's also known as the
effectively,
theory of knowledge.
this kind of I'm gonna call it like, it's the Western approach of epistemology, right?
Mm-hmm.
People like Nietzsche, many Aristotle, right? Very much like Western ways of thinking. The way people teaching about those will always talk about these forms of epistemology as if they're still alive and breathing. But then when we talk about Eastern philosophies, like or Eastern epistemic forms, right? Epistemic philosophies, they would talk about it as if it's dead.
Yeah, especially like
And
like
it's
Tao.
a very simple, yeah, like Taoism and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's a very simple way of framing it, but it is inherently powerful. Inherently.
and that's
All you need to do is teach about the right things and then act like the other things aren't alive and breathing.
that's how like Greek like mythologies, they became mythologies because as the new Western society, we have deemed it as inferior to the current religions of the world, even though Greek was a religion and it was there
Isn't it
way
like Hellenism?
it's
Is that the
Hellenism,
proper
yeah.
name?
That's
Yeah.
Hellenism, exactly. But it's no longer treated as an actual religion, even though it still technically exists. People still practice it.
It's dude. If we're hold on, let me Mithras. You want to hear a conspiracy?
I do.
So, you know the cult of Mithras, right?
I've heard of it.
The Roman sun god.
Oh, okay. We're getting into that.
Mithraism, not the Roman sun god. He's a Roman sun god. So, it's like an Iranian Roman mix kind of thing, right? Or Persian might be a better term.
Yeah.
In order to get with the old terms. But do you know who used to be a Mithrian or is a Mithrian?
I actually don't. Tell me.
Let me just make sure, just verify everything, right? But underneath a lot of Christian churches, in Rome are altars to the cult of Mithras.
That is really interesting, actually. Because that implies that it's been...
There is a lot of connections, okay, of sun worship to Christianity.
Because Jesus is passed in light a lot of time, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah.
It's quite... It's a... There's definitely like a lot of pagan elements in Christianity. The son of a deity, right? A triune group. You know, you'll see a trinity far more often in religion than straight up monotheism. When you compare Judaism and, Judaism and Islam to Christianity, you will find that there's a lot of differences between Trinitarian Christianity versus the other two.
Yeah, and that's because...
An astounding amount.
It was because of the Romans, I believe, fully.
It is absolutely because of the Romans.
Yeah.
You know the Nicene Council?
Yeah.
A lot of people claim, and me personally, I believe this, a lot of people claim that Constantine, the Roman Emperor, at the Nicene Council, was the one to present the idea of, I think it's homeostasis? No. Homeogenic? What's the word?
I'm trying to think.
First Council of Nicaea. Yeah, by the Roman Emperor Constantine. Rule of Constantine.
Hmm.
Man, the word is on my tongue. Homoousian.
Oh.
Effectively, like it's a complicated term, right? Which basically means like God is man, right? Like Jesus is a man.
The same
so
substance?
God, right? Yeah, like the same substance. Yeah.
Homeosis?
He's the one who... Homeosis? Yeah, probably. I think that's it.
It's hard to hear. Let me just... There. That one.
Like, probably like that, you know?
Yeah.
These guys, right? Like, Constantine was the one to bring it to count, like, bring it to it. Like, bring the idea to the council. And they all, like, talked to each other. And these guys basically effectively, like, canonized Christianity.
Yeah.
And you'll find that, they put it up to a vote. They literally put up the nature of God up to a vote.
Which is wild, because if it went the other way, the whole state would be completely different.
It is quite incredible how we put the nature of God up to a vote.
And if this was, if Jesus wasn't in the same substance or being as the Holy Spirit and God, then they would be three different entities altogether. And
then that would make it... No, it doesn't
polytheistic.
Make it like intrinsically polytheistic. And even then, like, one can argue, because the Holy Spirit and God and Jesus all speak to each other as if they're separate entities.
Yeah. Which, that brings up the interesting, point of where the concept of God comes from, honestly, which is a polytheistic religion.
It's ironically, right? There like strict monotheism, right, is very rare.
Yeah.
It's always like some weird pagan concept. always like squirt, like, just a little, just a little bit of the Greek, a little bit of Greek belief in there
Yeah.
toward it, because I think pagan Arabs kind of had this before Islam came, where, if we're putting it effectively speaking, where you had Lat wal Uzza and then you had Hubal as their father, right?
Right.
Lat and Uzza were like his daughters or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Islam is like strictly monotheistic.
Yep.
Actually, you should believe it because it's true. Talking, 100%.
Yep.
And that is very strange when you that is odd when you compare it to every other religion. I think it only shares that trait with Judaism.
Yep. That's actually true. And that's
And I'm talking like Orthodox Judaism. I'm not talking like the Kabbalah.
yeah.
Kabbalic or mysticism and all that. Because the Kabbalah, I've seen like a little bit out of the Zohar, right? There's like a fatherly entity and a female and a motherly entity, and they're both once again speaking to each other as if they're separate entities, and all this kind of stuff.
And I think a lot of that comes from like the people's view in power and how it should be like shared. And in a lot of how do you say, people want to do things equally. It is the tribe mentality. No person should do just one thing. And so I believe people naturally come to conclusion that no one person can create all these things, but rather it must be an assembly of people beyond us. And that's not saying in either way, it's just saying, I believe that's how people naturally derive things is a collaboration because we're social creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. I don't know if that's
It does come out a lot, right? Like it does make quite a bit of sense. I think it's I think like mostly what you say is tracking. It's just let's likely consider like the view, like the Islamic point of view, or like at least a monotheistic point
yeah.
of view. There's so much constant complexity, right? There's like quite literally in this universe, there are so many little things that if they are one even a rounding error off, nothing would exist.
Yeah.
The gravity of the planet being a little too much, gone, everything, right, will be all under the sea. The
Right.
moon, slightly too close for comfort. Once again, the earth would tear itself apart at the seams. The sun being a little too hot, we'd all die.
Yep.
Our atoms being in one certain way over the other, we'll all die.
And yeah,
The universe itself being set up in a separate way, we'd all die, right?
Right.
There's so much absolute complexity that it would require one being, one entity to coordinate everything like this on a master scale.
Because this is cosmic perfection.
Like this is quite literally like, even if you say like, oh man, we have like all these vestigial organs or whatever, right? How can we ever be perfect? Personally, I don't really buy that statement, right? But especially because there's a lot of uses. We thought the pancreas was vestigial, but it turns out to be a safe haven of beneficial bacteria.
Yeah.
That the body can recall.
Yeah.
Or the appendix, sorry. The appendix, not the pancreas. The
pancreas is very useful. I was about to say like,
yeah.
Yeah, it is very important.
The appendix, that little vestigial little organ on the side. But even stuff like that comes up.
Yeah.
And so one can consider it like, or one can say that there's so much little things, little details in everything that you have to just say at some point, like, this is insane.
And how does one conjure?
If there are, and let's say like, let's consider the Greek gods, right? They are so utterly ununified. I would say ununified as to their origins, that things would just tear at the seams eventually.
And they were, and it's constant chaos. And
from everything would come apart at the seams.
Yeah. But it worked for them during that period of time where, things weren't as complex and things were, small. It was small scale. But then you have this idea of monotheistic religion, and it unifies people. So it's such a unifying force.
It is. It is quite. Talking about creeds is always like great because everybody gets under like one banner effectively, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like your race, your religion, right? Or at least like in Islam and Christianity's case, if we are to assume that that Christianity is like fully like the belongs in the group, but they do, right? In we'll say Abrahamic, right? In these like terms, right? It's quite literally a unifying banner, right? You can just say like, "Hey, dude, I'm Muslim." Oh, dude, Kafek, right? I like it is like like that effectively.
Yeah. It's
and consider, and then you have a lot of different interpretations of like pagan religions, right, and all this stuff. It might end up some way, right? And of course, like we can't really look back. Like we'd have to look back in order to figure out like how these differences cause things, because right now, right, all the division we're seeing is like the 12, the 12 like is between monotheism, effectively, and then people will be like, oh man, how does it unify people? This is tearing everything at the seams. But
and let's
consider like
there's a lot of fighting when there were when there was multiple gods and gods to worship, because it ultimately, while it was polytheistic, you'd pray to one god mostly.
I heard a story like there's a Greek story about some guy who wanted he was like a goat.
Yeah.
I think he made like modern medicine or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he was a part of it, and some Dionysus dudes offered to take him to an orgy, and he declined, and then they just stoned him to death.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like that was a true story that they just adapted into mythology.
It probably is a true story, because the thing is that while it was polytheistic and you would worship all those gods, you choose basically one to really worship, and that would form major cities, major temples, and you did just have many religions in one kind of banner, and that would lead to a lot of fighting. It's kind of like, you choose your patron god and then you fight about who's right, and yeah, it's terrible. It's fighting, even though you kind of see the same gods, and fighting about it. It's just kind of awful.
All right, yeah, we gotta cut that out. Anyways, we would.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's I think it's just a lot of man's nature to just fight each other. So whenever I hear like the argument that like, oh, it causes so much like strife and all this stuff, it's like I have the feeling that we're just gonna fight anyways.
I think our natural state is being chaotic against order, and that's fine. That's just how we be. That's how we do things.
See, I mean, like that would come in line with me just saying like people will do until they're like inevitably you just like force them to stop.
Yeah.
Because that's like what a lot of pro corpo people would do, right? They'll say like, oh yeah, the hidden hand of the market, the invisible hand of the economy, is gonna stop this corporation from exploiting you, and that's simply not how it works.
Nope.
Exploitation is always profitable. That's why they do it.
Yep.
You have to force them to stop. It's that simple.
It's Yeah, you can't just trust someone else to do what you want to be done. And even like, okay,
Even when you're paying him, like you just can't trust. Like sometimes you have to just make sure he's doing it right.
you can take that back to religion too. It's like you can't expect God to win your battles. You have to earn
You have to
the hand.
It's not even that. It's like, you absolutely beg him for help, right? And all
Yeah.
but you have to continue working, right?
Yeah.
You won't be rewarded for
nothing.
asking and then not doing.
Yeah.
You genuinely just can't accept it. Like,
It's by taking the idea and
maybe if I was like Jewish, by virtue of being born, I'm like, because that's what they think, right? They're like, you're the chosen people, and you're the chosen people by birth. God has a covenant with you.
Yeah.
And you do this, right? That's why they believe their rabbis are like able to just like make stuff up sometimes because of the whole covenant thing. And that helped him out in the long run. But now it just kind of seems archaic, like it seems racist whenever you like talk about it.
Yeah. I generally come from the idea that everyone has a form of a relationship with God, or however we wish to call him. And
you know what? That's funny because every time I hear every time I see like some atheist or something like that, they'd always have something they like kind of rely on. Either it be random chance, the quote unquote universe, and stuff like that themselves. They would always have some kind of being they would entreat.
Yeah. I think a lot of that has to do with, trauma, or just wanting to just completely deny any sort of explanation, because some things just don't make sense to us, because we are playing the game. We are here, and we are not beyond.
Fundamentally, you would only find out the nature. I mean, unless you're fully in the belief, right? Or like,
Right.
Fundamentally speaking, you're only going to 100% find out when you die.
Yeah.
By nature, right? But luckily, you can be sure about it your entire life. That's fine, right? But you're never going to 100% find out until
Yeah. And I'd hate to be an atheist living that kind of life. I mean, some of it, they say it doesn't really affect them, but like,
it's like in every belief system, you've played the wrong wager.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You don't,
like even if we put it as like Pascal's wager,
yeah,
right? And then we extend it to, oh yeah, what about the 3,000 religions that have occurred, right? What if you pick the wrong one?
Then you pick the wrong one, and you accept that.
You picked let's say that, right? I have a 1 out of 3,000 chance. If we're going pure random, I have a 1 out of 3,000 chance of being wrong. You have picked the 0 out of 3,000.
Exactly. You got to play the game in order to win anything. I mean,
and even then I think it was Descartes, right?
Yeah.
Who put up like the conditions of a religion, right?
Yeah.
And one of them is that it kind of has to be worshipped like believed at a mass rate.
Yeah.
Large enough, right? Because there's no possible way that a deity would like the true deity would let their worship die out.
But even then, I respect that in a way, and it's very complicated because we don't know exactly what our deity really wants. But
well, I mean, that's if we're talking like, because I think God in the Bible and the Quran and the Torah,
yeah,
and the Talmud, they God, right? If we're taking the he, God, let's just go,
Yeah.
the proper noun the entire time. God clearly describes what God wants.
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, right? Actually, it would be he. He clearly describes it, right? And that is to worship him.
Yeah.
That's why the thing that gets you infinite hellfire, right, is inherently not believing in him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would say like, "Oh, dude, that's terrible, right? This is egotistical, right?" But you have to really consider it like you're denying the truth, and every time you are given the opportunity to see the truth, and yet you continue to deny it.
Which I think that brings us into
And then continuously, right? Intrinsically, you have denied the moral system that God has given, right? You have denied you have denied him. You have denied his mercy. Because remember, he's saying he's giving up, he's saying I'm going to give you all this mercy, right? And then you're saying I don't want it. That's pretty much what's happening.
Yeah.
You're refusing it every time. What more do you deserve at that point? And it's not that you were given one chance. You were given 2 chances. You are given a lifetime of chances to clock it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you continue to just like drop the ball.
And that's why it's not even really eternal punishment from God. It's eternal punishment from yourself. That's the big thing. Is that it's your own doing. It's your own punishment.
And then let's say like the second chance people, right? The people who would ask for a second chance, you'd probably do it all over again, the entire cycle.
Yeah.
And that's what God says in the Quran. Is that if I were to get, something along the lines of, if I were to give you another chance, you would do everything all over again.
Yep. And that brings us into like a really interesting overlap between Eastern and Western philosophy when it comes to the interpretation of hells, especially with Buddhism. Because, like, when it comes to a Buddhistic hell, it's like, how do you say? Hell is in Buddhistic.
Isn't it like constantly like a cycle of being eaten by the hungry ghost?
It's like there's like getting put into like a lead pot full of hot boiling lead. It's getting your insides set on fire. It's a lot of things. I don't know all the entire list, but the point of hell in Buddhistic philosophy is to cleanse. And that's how they view it, is being cleansed, having all the evil stuff burned away, and then getting sent to repeat the cycle again. While as in hell in Western philosophy and in our Abrahamic religion, it is a form, I believe, of self punishment, and it's like
Hang on.
a life.
That's actually pretty interesting, right? The thing that you bring up about cleansing Muslims in Islam, right? Even if you were to be sent to hell, remember you have to die a believer, right? Ashhadu an la ilaha
Right.
illallah, right? You have to die a believer. If you die as a believer and then you go to hell, right? Your sins would be burned away,
Yeah.
and then you go to heaven.
Which is
and
interesting.
The non-believers are just like there forever.
Exactly. That's what makes it interesting, is that I feel like there's some overlap between Buddhistic.
If you take the Muslim concept of how the religions have sprouted up, right? Which is God has sent prophets to every civilization. There's not a single civilization who has not had a prophet come to them. So this means, this is obviously speaking, like Muhammad is our prophet, right?
Right.
And Islam has quite literally entered the homes. This is a hadith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Islam has quite literally entered the doors of every household out there, right? He was sent to everybody after him, right? And you can see this.
Right.
And so I'm just saying this, right? But this would mean fundamentally every single civilization before Muhammad has had a prophet directly sent to them. Now he wasn't mentioned specifically, right? But if I'm actually not going to speak as a theoretical of Buddha himself, but whether or not you would want to believe it, because I'm not even going to put it on the table. I'm just going to say, like, this table saw on the counter, right?
Right.
Buddha might be a bastard. The Buddhist, a lot of concepts, right? The reason why there's so much overlap is because it comes from the same source, which is someone preaching about monotheism, and then like it eventually like degenerates, and then the heaven and hell, right? They would speak about, and all this stuff. So there would be obviously so much overlap.
And then there's the interesting with like the change in what heaven means to people, and what, like, in Western, and going back to Western Eastern philosophy, like it's everything versus nothing. It's
Which, we might consider that to be like the same thing,
yeah,
or we might consider those things to be fundamentally different, but honestly, it's the same thing.
exactly. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to me because
And so that's why I say, like, the thread is the same, right? It might have gotten twisted and turned a bunch, or like dyed a different color by accident, right? But it's ultimately like ending up going to be the same.
yeah.
And so, and then obviously, like, if we were to like consider the pagan religions, right? I'm going to keep talking from the Islamic perspective, obviously.
Yep.
But the Islamic perspective of the paganism, right, is that during the time of Adam, far after his death, the devil came and told his descendants, you should build a statue of your forefathers, right? He was a really awesome guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
over time, just
Yeah.
convince them. And then eventually he'd go on and then convince them again. Hey, this guy was awesome. You should go, like, this guy was a goat. You remember him? Put a couple of fruit baskets there. Put some meat. Couple X years later, nth years later. That's God.
Yep.
You see those offerings? It's because God's hungry. You should worship God and give him food. And then eventually, like, more and more sprout up.
And
It was
that's
because of this. It was because of the fundamental disconnect between our forefathers and like stuff like that. And then we start following into a cycle, following our forefathers. And then eventually, like, we have full on, pagan beliefs, right? We're like prostrating to statues,
then that's
giving
where
them fruit baskets.
and that's where the
to
idols
eat.
come from, the big false idols testament, which it's interesting, to say the least, because
And one of my favorite stories is of Abraham.
Yeah.
Ibrahim. And so a lot of people say he was Babylonian, but I'm just gonna like tell the story how it went, right? But Abraham, right, when he was, I think he reached his prophet. Yeah, he did, right? Or he was still questioning. And no, it was after he reached his prophethood. He took an axe.
Yep.
He took an axe, right? And then he went to the main temple of worship, right? And he broke every statue there, right?
right,
And then he laid the axe next to the largest idol, right? And then later on, he was taken and questioned by his peers, and they asked him, "Did you do this?" He was like, "No, I didn't do it." Like, go ask the idol. He did it. And it's a very simple gotcha. But all he did was just simply demonstrate that the idols do nothing. They did nothing to protect themselves. The biggest idol did nothing to kill them, right? And then even when he asked them, right? Even when they asked him, right, that was an implicit reaction that the deities, at least behind the idols, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Because remember, they literally believed that this was their god, the statue.
The statue, yeah.
Because the Akkadians, I think the Akkadians or someone else, right?
Right.
They would perform an act known as god napping. That's the best way to put it, right? My history teacher. They would take the gods, right, the statues, and then put them in their capital. They'd kidnap their gods.
Yeah.
And so they at least believed that the deities within these statues could do something about it.
Yeah.
Which, as demonstrated, and as I can demonstrate, nothing. But then you have to ask, right? Like, oh, dude, if I burn a Quran, like God's doing nothing, it must not exist then. No, he's waiting. You know?
Because it's not an instant punishment.
It's gonna be like, because you have to consider, like, in the first case it was self-defense. The God would have to do something in self-defense. In this case, you have only scorned him. You have straight up only scorned God, right?
Because it's
so simply like your punishment comes later.
Yeah, because you're not hurting God necessarily. You're just taking his words and burning them, and that's disrespectful.
In which, that's disrespectful. Yeah, that's an absolute marker of your jahiliyyah. But like, look at this. There are 100,000 more copies that were printed today.
Yeah.
And then 10 people have likely accepted Islam because of your act.
Yeah.
Somehow, right? And then you have to additionally consider that every day there are people who memorize it entirely.
Which is why I'll never, disrespect the Quran or destroy it, because its value is there, its meaning is there. Just because, how do I say? Because it's not what I put my faith in. It's what other people put their faith in. And it's disrespectful to them, regardless on what I think.
And plus, like this is the group of people most likely to do something about it.
Yeah. It's not
even make it like a terrorist joke. I know for a fact that I'd do something about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't sit idly by while someone just does it. Either I'd intervene directly, right? Or I'd, put it out or anything like that, right? But I'm simply just not going to let it slide. But then, like, we see people just kick the Bible like a football.
Yeah. I don't like that either.
A priest for that matter.
Yeah.
Which is just, like, ridiculous. When I saw him, like, do you even believe in this at this point?
It's distasteful, yeah. It's all distasteful.
Like, you can't like tell me you believe in this when you're kicking it like a football.
The only religion I don't respect is the Mormon. It's Mormons, yeah.
Dude, Mormons and, like, what is it called? Seventh-day Saint, Latter-day Saints?
The Latter-day Saints, yeah. Church of Latter-day Saints.
Is that what it is? Yeah, I know that. Mormons, okay, dude. Mormonism has to be like, dude. They had a retcon during the civil rights movement.
They did.
They used to not believe that black people could be missionaries. And then right when the peak of the civil rights movement started, the leader of the church had a so-called vision from Gabriel and then retconned it.
Yeah. Dude, it does like...
Look, dude. See, funny, like, for me, one of the criteria of, like, a religion, right, is that everything has to be traced back to the original source.
Yeah.
You can't just have a guy say, oh, yeah, I have revelation now, and then update it.
Dude, you've heard of the story of the golden tablets, right?
Oh my God, when he finally, just finding the golden tablets in his hat. It is, it's like...
So it's supposedly, they're supposedly from Rome. They're from Rome, apparently. But they're over in New York or wherever the frick Joseph Smith is. And he just finds them. Like, how does that make any sense?
It's...
And he translates them.
It's just...
And then there's the magic pajamas.
Like if you were to consider the like stories of Revelation, right? Or the beginning of Revelation, you have a guy finding golden tablets in his hand and then managing to translate them. And then you have him, first off, this is in the native tongue. He has Gabriel always delivering the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then reciting them.
Yeah.
And so this is a one-to-one kind of speech, right? It's a relaying. And then consider this as well. The things he talked about, a lot of things he talked about are much of the time very, very accurate.
Yeah.
Surat al-Najm, I think it's called, or Surat al-Tariqa. Surat al-Tariq, right? Chapter 83, chapter 86.
Mm-hmm.
See, there is a segment, right, where the verse, right, where it says Najm al-Thaqiba, right?
Mm-hmm.
The word means like piercing, pulsing, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that there's pulsing stars in the night sky?
There are, aren't there?
Yeah. Pulsars, right? The North Pole is mainly a whatchamacallit. The North Pole is a pulsar, right?
Yeah.
And this is just like one very light example, right? Of just some of the nice connections you'd find. And much of it's like, how can some Arab guy in the desert? Oh yeah, one example is, I don't remember the specific surah, right? But it speaks about two pharaohs, right? They're the two leaders. And so the pharaoh during Joseph's time, which is before Moses, right? The pharaoh during Joseph's time is referred to as king. This lines up to the theorized pharaoh during Joseph's time, that they refer to him as king. And then it is only after that the king had declared himself pharaoh, right, and the conduit of Ra. And then during the story of Moses and the Exodus in the Quran, does it refer to the king as Pharaoh, which is Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only a detail that was picked up like centuries later, that like proven by science.
That's wild.
And so it was a correction of the Bible, which referred to him as Pharaoh both times.
That's actually really interesting.
So you got you got some random Arab in the middle of nowhere, right? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaking to a bunch of tribal Arabs. Remember, these guys are uneducated. Okay, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not know how to read. He's referred to as the unlettered prophet because of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know how to read or write. And so he had other people, whenever he'd send out a letter, he'd dictate it, right? And then sign it with his hand.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he did. He did sign it with his hand, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was a letter to Heracles, right?
Right.
That like there's like the biggest piece of proof. But do you understand how like amazing this is?
Do I understand?
And then we have Joseph Smith.
You just have Joseph Smith. The thing with Joseph Smith is that even if you don't believe, I'm trying to be respectful when I'm saying this, because it's not like disproving anything. It's just like in prophets in general. Even if you don't believe in the prophets' visions, it is to be understood that they didn't prophesize with monetary value, if that makes sense. I was trying to.
Oh yeah, no. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died with well, before he died, right? He only had like a couple gold coins.
Yeah.
And he told his wife, Aisha, right?
Yeah.
To donate the 2 coins that he had left.
Yep.
Because I think it was, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of like, I would be disgraced if I came to my Lord and I still had possessions in this world.
Yeah. But with Joseph Smith, that's what gets me is that you understand immediately with Joseph Smith that this is beneficial for it's a
like isn't like the big thing is like also like unlimited like polygamy.
Yep.
With Joseph Smith and all that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was like their big heresy and got them excommunicated.
Yep. That's why they're in Ohio. That's why they went to Ohio, is because that was the only place they could go. Because they were they're on the East Coast actually, and because they wanted to establish Zion,
Oh yeah.
They went west, and they went to Ohio, and then that eventually collapsed, and it led to a war, the 1838 Mormon War, and that got him kicked over into Illinois for a while. Yeah, no, it's actually really interesting what was his life. And then he eventually just got shot and died. That's how recent that was. That's the funny thing, is it was really recent. That's why it's kind of like really easy to disprove, actually. Because it's an American religion.
And like it's honestly like, and one funny detail I always love to bring up is that the LDS is number 26 on Glassdoor as top employer.
Yeah, it's money. It's about the money.
It's just a funny detail that I think I'm looking for Surat el. Dude, I forgot if it's close to the bottom of the most recent surah. Shara, right? Now, see, there's a lot of things in the Quran that are like markers, because if they didn't come true, disprove the whole book, right?
Right.
At least disprove the word of God at least. And so, one example is Surat el. شو اسمه سورة تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب سورة شنو هذه؟ It's like after, it's like, oh yeah, Surat al-Masad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the, I think, the words at the end, palm fiber. Yeah, Surat the chapter of the palm fiber. And so this entire chapter effectively condemns one man and his wife to hell. And so remember, like hell for eternity, right?
Right.
And so if he were to become a Sahaba, right, which is him accepting Islam, right?
Right.
He would have he would be in heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thus disproving the book. That's all he had to do, is accept Islam. And that's it. It would be over. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and guess what?
He rejects it.
He completely rejects it. He dies. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is that the first chapter, right? Abu Lahab says, perish, I think, the hands of Muhammad, right? Or something along those lines, right? He uses the word teb. This basically means like perish, right? Like if you say that about like someone's hands, like perish the things he creates, and then when you say it about someone, like he's like getting perished, right?
Mm-hmm.
God says this in direct response to what he said.
Yeah.
perish the hands of Abu Lahab, and he himself perish. And the name Abu Lahab is actually an irony as well, because the word lahab is burning, right? It has to do with the word to burn, right?
Right.
First off, very apt nickname for what will be of him, right?
Right.
And secondly, this was in reference to his beard, which was a very vibrant red.
Right.
And so what was originally a compliment has now become an insult in this one chapter, right?
And it's beautiful.
And then it's also, hang on, and then it's also, do you know, have you ever heard of the guy named Abu Lahab?
I have not. Teach me.
All right, sorry, I'm back. I was interrupted.
It's all good.
But anyways, the fact that you never heard of him, it speaks volumes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely nothing this guy did lasted after his death.
Really?
The only mention of him is in the Quran, bro. Like, not really the only mention, but you get what I mean, right? The only major mention of him is in the Quran and the Hadith, which is, all about his enemies.
Right.
Everything this guy did was for naught. And then there's like a whole bunch of little major details, right? In this surah. Because one thing I will note is, it says in the Quran as well, lahab, which is burning, blazing flames. And that's the word that's used to refer to the flames of hell. But it refers to, his wife. And so imra'a is a specific word, and it's basically a term used for, so there's mart,
Right.
which is a wife that is both like you're in a harmonious marriage with and it gives you kids, and then there's imra'a, which gives you neither of those, right?
Right.
So it uses this term for Idris, Enoch, right? Wait, is it Idris? No, not Idris. I think Ezekiel, right?
Right.
Zechariah, right? With his wife who was barren, right? Because while they were, in a harmonious relationship, they didn't have kids, right?
Right.
So it refers to his wife as Imran, right? But in this context, with him and Abu Lahab's wife, guess what?
What?
He has kids, but it's not that good of a marriage. And it turns out to be true, right?
Right.
And then it refers to an incident where she put, the prophet never found out about this, but she placed trash in front of his house, right? Thorns in front of his house. It refers to her as the one who did it, right?
Right.
And then this is probably one of the more, if you learn the it's already a very, very intense chapter, but then when you learn the context behind it, it's like, wow. And online, then there's Surat al-Kawthar. I believe it's Kawthar, right? Yeah, Surat al-Kawthar. There's a challenge that pops up in the Quran where it offers a challenge, right?
Right.
That you cannot create a chapter that's as good as, you cannot create something as good as one of the chapters in the Quran. That's like the open challenge, right?
Right.
Never been beat, I would say, right?
Right.
But Surat al-Kawthar is 10 words long. And there's a full-on hour lecture on some, guy talking about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is 10 words long, right? And one crazy note I would like to bring up is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through a lot of tragedy, right?
Right.
And so one incident was his son's death. When his son died, one of his uncles, right, began celebrating loudly, right?
Right.
And their walls were connected. Began celebrating loudly that his, Muhammad is cut off, Abatar, right? That he is cut off. Because that's what happens when your son dies, right? Like, that's it with you, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, God gives a response. We have, indeed, inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Indeed, we have given you abundance, right? Which refers to a river, like he was given a lot of goodness, right? And then he also refers to a river that could be in Jannah, right in heaven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. And so pray to your Lord and sacrifice. And then, inna shaniyaka huwal abatar. Indeed, he who hates you is the one cut off from goodness, right?
Right.
I would recommend watching that like full hour like video on the guy talking about it. But once again, like it is I love Surat al-Kawthar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And mainly the Quran is excellent. And there's a reason that people, like, you don't know anybody, any group of people able to memorize on this scale a book.
Yeah.
And personally, I think it's a combination of how the Quran is structured. I want to say it's a book, right? Because it's the words of God. But like
Right.
I would say the Quran is, and it literally means to recite. But the Quran, both in its structure, enables this in the language, because the language of the Quran is very complex. It's very dense, and it also provides modern day Arabic speakers with an anchor,
Right.
Because this is effectively like the crux of the language, right? Everything will come back to this,
Right.
As a result of its influence, but it is the anchor to to the language of Arabic. It is also the greatest example of the Arabic language, right?
Right.
And every time people try to create a Quran, it is always derivative and low quality. And I can say this for a fact because I tried reading a so-called attempt to combat it, right? And it is straight up derivative. The first chapter alone is a ripoff, great ripoff.
Right. And that brings up an interesting point of language and how there are certain languages that don't store information as well as other languages. For example, with
the language of let me sorry for like cutting you off, but
Slogan.
in terms of storing like information, the Arabic language and other Semitic languages are so, see, it is insane how much I love Arabic, right?
Yeah.
Because when you break it down and you understand the mechanics of it, right? The meanings of words are distilled down to letters, right?
Right.
Which are 3 letters. And so this means once you learn a single set of letters, you don't need to learn that word, any of the forms of that word again. You just hear the word lahab, and you know that's that word.
Yeah.
And so that's like the crazy part.
And that's what really interests me about like translations of like the Bible, for example. Like oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So let me say this. The Bible is very hard to translate because Hebrew and English are very different concepts. Of
even then, right? It's not Hebrew. Much of the time, I think Jesus, right, Isa alayhi salam, right, is purported to have spoken Aramaic, which was then translated a bunch of times. Now, obviously, Aramaic is very close to Hebrew. Actually, the Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic are a part of the same family.
Right.
They're all Semitic languages, so there's a lot of overlap. But it was translated from Aramaic, right, into Greek and Latin, right?
Yeah.
Or into Greek then into Latin, then from Latin into English, right? And then obviously like you're still skipping from Greek into Latin, right?
Yeah,
And that's like the crazy thing, like with the preservation, because the old like the most of the Bible is created from literally text fished out of the ocean.
Yep. And from that, it's very, the structure changes each time it's translated. There's different metaphors, there's different meanings, and you lose a lot of the original beauty.
And you'll
That
have
is
like two manuscripts that have like completely different iterations of the
exactly
situation.
it's the King James Bible versus another Bible. It's just two very different things, and you get two different interpretations of the story that way. I'd suggest reading. I don't know if you like to read parts, like different sections of the Bible. I'm not trying to convert you or anything. It's very interesting to read different translations and how stories are written. And I'll send it to you if you're interested. But it's a very interesting and beautiful thing, because certain translations of the Bible can come off as poetry and some come off as like instruction manuals.
Certainly speaking, there are longer sections. Look what N-word is, instructions, right? But
Right.
most of the time it is not, I wouldn't say like, poetry, because it's all God like speaking, right?
Right.
Like the literal speech, right? The recitation,
But it's beautiful.
Yeah. But, there's certain like, yeah. But yeah,
It's interesting. It's interesting to read through it. And I'm really glad we had this conversation today. It's been really enlightening, actually.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It meandered a lot.
It meandered a lot.
I think I may have dominated a bit too much.
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning every bit of it. Being able to be taught something new and be able to interpret information differently is very much a pleasure. And I'm very glad.
If anyone had to like leave off with anything, right? Like a big moral of the story, it's that if you're not actively improving, you're stagnating.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much it.
Closing off to new knowledge is what makes people start to die. Is what I believe.
And unfortunately, a lot of people have taken on a adversity to learning something new, right?
Right, because
You'll
it's
see it a lot,
scary.
like in modern. No, I mean like in general, right?
Right.
Like if you see a lot of the information, like stuff on like Twitter, like stuff like that, you'll actually see like an adversity to like figure out something new. Either it's labeled as yapping or, the similar stuff, right?
Yeah.
You have the nerd emoji, you know what I mean? Though they're just diverse.
Yeah. And it leads to a lot of problems like vulnerability and being a human being, really, actually. Because
You see a lot of like so many people like just straight up stinted. I'd say honestly, dude, I feel bad for the generations to come, right?
because we might not be able to have conversations like this anymore, where we can just talk.
I think honestly, I'm not gonna like put the blame on them damn phones. I'm not gonna put the blame on anything like that. It's just that modern society has went in a direction where, despite being, people say this all the time, despite being so interconnected, you know what I mean?
We're so far from
genuinely stagnated, dude. A man
Yeah.
will look at his brother and not know a single thing about him.
Yeah. And I'd hate to.
And I don't mean like literal brother. I mean like his
someone he cares about.
companions.
Is someone he chooses to have a connection with, and he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the full connection of it, and that's doing himself dirty. I mean, that's doing his brother dirty. I mean, that's just sad. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy not having the full connection. Yeah,
It really is, man. And like, you're cheating yourself out.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it is, right? You're literally ripping yourself off.
Yeah, because it's like we're not saying this to be like mean or anything about it. It's just you're missing out. It's missing out on a very
I might be a little mean, right? Like
yeah.
you're
You
incapable of
are
having,
mean. You're kind of mean, but it's okay.
No. If you're incapable of getting like a little like I like if you just have an absolute adversity to learning, man, I feel bad for you, dude.
Yeah, it's genuine pity. I feel
Like for me, it's like I feel bad about you, man. You know.
yeah. If I was not,
I think you're part of a problem.
If I was,
had to be.
if I was not able to have these sort of conversations with you, I'd feel like terrible.
Like, dude, imagine like talking to someone and all you get are like brain rot responses. I have a friend like that, dude.
Dude, some people are just like
it
that.
Is, and like whenever he gets like actually philosophical, it's always like
weird.
It's always like pessimistic.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "That's just the way life is, man." Like, and then it'd get like self-absorbed. He'd be like, "There's people like me, and then there's people like you, man. It's always like that." And I'm like, dude.
You're just no. It turns it turns.
There is a natural order, 100%, but
it
might not be the way you think it.
With that sort of interpretation, it turns that it's that philosophy of him versus yourself, which is not even really yourself. He's not viewing you as you. He's viewing you as outside of his world, as the other.
Can you imagine having like everybody be against you?
Implicitly. That would suck.
And that's what a lot of people are like.
Yeah.
Whether it's because they broadcast themselves on the internet, whether it's because they're ostracized manually, right? Whether it be just because they're just like a self-absorbed dickhead, right?
Yeah.
We do not do well with isolation, and we do not do well with, let's say, like criticism, for example, right?
Right.
We do not do well with we take criticism harshly and negative things.
Because we view this thing. Sorry.
Because we have an instinct, let's say, right? When you mess something up, it is far worse than doing something right. It's an instinct, let's be real, right?
Yeah.
Because doing something wrong is going to result in a bad result.
Right.
You let's say you improperly prepare chicken. It is an eventuality if you keep doing it that you will catch salmonella.
And you will shit your pants.
And it's not fun.
It's really not actually. It sucks a lot.
I had diarrhea in Syria, man. two days before a flight.
Oh shit, dude. Shit. That's awful. That's actually awful.
I woke up one morning, right, that it cleared up before the flight, like the same day of the flight, and I was so thankful to God.
That's fair, man. No, that sucks. Salmonella sucks. I hate it, man. And I remember getting those shits.
I was up all night.
Because it's not just shitting; it's also vomiting.
No. It was just diarrhea all night, dude. Like all night. I couldn't get a single hour of sleep.
Oh shit, man. That's a lot of shit.
Genuinely, the daylight, the sun broke through the sky, right? And it was my third shit.
Right.
Not my third shit, my fifth shit.
Yeah.
At that point, I was in the bathroom for like most of my night. I couldn't sleep.
That sucks, dude. I'm sorry.
And then my aunt gave me like Imodium, right?
Yeah.
Which is a you know opioids?
Yeah.
It was 2 milligrams of heroin's cousin.
Oh my god.
And the reason why you take it is because it relaxes the muscles in your bowels, right?
Right.
They chill out so that your body has the time to like properly suck out the moisture.
To go through proper osmosis, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
No, just like suck out the moisture, like osmosis, yeah.
It's osmosis,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. That was like the worst time. Dude, Syria? Dude. Me in Syria, man, is crazy. That should just be next episode, is me talking about my time in Syria.
The Syria episode. Dude, can we get like
just to tantalize, just to like put down like a little next time kind of thing, right? Just leave it off. I almost got blown up, shot in the face, and hit with ricochet.
Jesus.
within the same time period, right?
Right.
I'd go back. I was gonna, I would have been down to go back, right? This happened when I was 16, like 4 years ago. I would
Yeah.
have been down to go back like 2 years ago, but I had become 18, and that would have been prime time for me to get drafted into the Syrian military.
Oh boy. Oh shit.
Trust me, most of it was positive. It's just the negatives are always an eye catcher.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Well, man,
How do we end this out? Just saying like we'll see ya.
we'll see you guys in the next episode. Stay tuned and good night.